Hi book friends, this is Kat. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about another readathon, and this one is the back to school readathon, and it is hosted, let's see, I wrote it down. Oh no. Okay, so I did not write it down, but of course I'm gonna link it down in the description box below. This readathon is all about going back to school. I believe it's a group of teachers that have created this readathon, and I thought it would be perfect. This readathon runs from August 25th through the 31st, so I still have plenty of time to get my brain wrapped around a new readathon. This readathon also has Instagram prompts, and each day is a different theme of what you would do for Spirit Week at school, and they're so much fun. Certain prompts are like dress like a teacher, or pajama day, or twin day, and stuff like that, and you get to interpret it any way you want, and I think that's very creative. So I'm going to try to follow along with these prompts on my Instagram. I haven't been keeping up with my Readathon prompts, but again, this week was just all about back to school, super busy. I've been really adding new things in my teaching curriculum this year, so hopefully by the 25th I'll be able to get back into the swing of things when it comes to this readathon. So yeah, anyway, each prompt, there are 7 prompts, and one is a non-reading prompt. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, one is a non-reading prompt, so there's actually 8 prompts in total. I'm going to name the prompts and the books for each prompt right now. Each prompt says different subject in school, and the first subject we're going to look into is English. So read a book with an academic setting. And this, I chose The Boy at the Back of the Class by the stickers over it, on Jolly Rolf, I believe, and that's, if you can see it, the stickers kind of over it. So but I think it's pronounced on Jolly or on Holly. So yeah. This book is about a new kid named Ahmet, and he sits in the back of the class, and it's written by a kid in the class who notices him, and it turns out that Ahmet is a refugee who has run away from a war, and these groups of kids, I guess, are going to befriend him, and that's that story. It is a middle grade. I'm interested if it's kind of going to give me Wonder vibes. I did enjoy the book Wonder by Palacio, I think is his last name, and so I'm hoping this is pretty similar in just my enjoyment of the point of view of the different kids like it was in the Wonder book. So yeah, very excited for that one. I'm sure you probably saw my dog in the corner over here. Yeah, but if he shows in the video, you'll get to see him. I'll leave the clip in. All right, the next one is math class, which was one of the harder classes for me, but I think it was more of a confidence issue than actually knowing how to do it. I guess in my mind I made up already that I was just not good in math, and I had to overcome like a mental thing. But anyway, math, the prompt is read a book with a number in the title. And so I chose 65 Days of Wonder, Mr. Brown's Book of Precepts by R.J. Palacio. And this is another library book with the interesting choice of sprayed edge color, I would say. But this is sort of like a one quote a day kind of deal. So it's like each day has a quote or a precept. If you've read the book Wonder or seen the movie, Mr. Brown, the English teacher, has like an activity that his students do where they talk about precepts in class, so words to live by or to think about and try to live by in a way. And this book is written essentially by Mr. Brown, and he asks his students to write him a precept during their summer, and like a precept he can use for the school year with his new incoming students, and he puts them all in the book. So it's kind of written like by that fictional point of view, and this is like what it says, a book of precepts. So I think this would be cute to go through. Maybe even use some of this for my classroom if I have time at maybe the end of my lesson or the beginning of my lesson, have my kids go through. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, and I really am looking forward to this book. Okay, so the next class is an easier class in my opinion, but that is PE, a book featuring an activity. This one, I'm going to pick a YA book, and it is called Black Dove, White Raven. And this book is about two stunt pilots, and one plane goes down, and they're like best friends. So it's two women. One is African American, and the other one is white, and they are testing out these planes, and one crashes, and so the woman who is white ends up taking care of the other woman's kid who's African American. And this is set in a time where people didn't like races intermingling. I guess like there were interracial laws, and the lady is, I think, gonna flee to another part of the country or maybe the world, I'm not sure, but I know she ends up fleeing with the African American kid and her own kid, and their life during this time. So it's kind of got those vibes to it. I hope I explained it well. This doesn't have like a dust jacket to where it has like the summary I can read to you, so I'm basically going off of memory. So but this has been on my list, and I've heard it was pretty good, so I'm interested in reading about it. Okay, next one is lunch, and lunch technically isn't really a subject, but oh well, they added that in there. But it's a book that has a recipe included. And this one I actually had to look online because none of the books that I'm currently wanting to read have a recipe. And I ended up finding this one by Jenny Colgan, and it's called The Loveliest Chocolate Shop in Paris, a novel with recipes. And that's one of my favorite colors on the cover, and I love chocolate, so I thought this sounded really good. It says, inside Paris's premier chocolate shop, sometimes dreams really can come true. It's true that Anna Trent is a supervisor in a chocolate factory, but that doesn't necessarily mean she knows how to make chocolate. And when a fateful accident gives her the opportunity to work at Paris's elite chocolatier, Le Chapeau, chocolat, I think. Anna expects to be outed as a fraud. After all, there is a world of difference between chalky, mass-produced English chocolate and the gourmet confections Anna's new boss creates. But with a bit of luck and a lot of patience, Anna might learn that the sweetest things in life are always worth working for. So, I love it. Sounds great. I'm hoping that we have some pretty good chocolate recipes. I didn't even look. Oh yes, so we do have some chocolate recipes back here. I might try to make something during the weekend. I will say, Jenny Colgan, I think I've heard the name before on YouTube with another YouTuber, and I think she was reading some of Jenny Colgan's works and ended up not liking them, but I can't say 100% that I know. I can't say that I know for sure, because I think like there were a lot of Jennies, and I think Jenny's and last name started with a C, so I can't remember if it was that one. So I hope it's not this one. And I think she didn't like the work because I think there was just like, I think a lot of swearing, or maybe it was open door. I cannot remember, and I hope it's not this one, but we'll see. We'll see if I enjoy it too. All right, next class is science, which is what my husband teaches, and I actually enjoyed it, science, back in grade school. But science's prompt says book with either the sun, moon, or stars on the cover. So let's go back to middle grade, and I picked a Catherine Applegate book, and that is called Crenshaw. And on the book it has like little stars, like very faint, but they're all up here. Hopefully you can see that. But this book is about a young boy named Jackson, and it says Jackson and his family have fallen on hard times. There's no more money for rent, and not much for food either. His parents, his little sister, and their dog may have to live in their minivan again. Crenshaw is a cat. He's large, he's outspoken, and he's imaginary. He has come back to Jackson's life to help him, but is an imaginary friend enough to save this family from losing everything. So this is kind of giving me Pete the Dragon vibes a little bit, just a little, but that sounds sweet, like having a giant cat as like a comfort friend, you know, during tough times. So I am looking forward to that one as well. Okay, social studies, my absolute favorite subject, and one of the subjects that I used to teach. The prompt says, book with multiple timelines. This one, I decided to go with an adult book because I couldn't find anything else, but this was on my TBR, and this is Big Lies in a Small Town by Diane Chamberlain. This one is set in North Carolina in 2018, and the other timeline is 1940, and I think it just looks like two. So this says Morgan Christopher's life has been derailed when she takes a fall for a crime she did not commit. Her dream of a career in art is put on hold until a mysterious visitor makes her an offer that will get her released from prison immediately. So I'm not going to read all of it, but something happens and she goes to prison, and this visitor is going to help her out, essentially. And that's in 2018. In 1940, we follow a woman named Anna Dale, who's an artist from New Jersey. She wins a national contest to paint a mural for the post office in Edenton, North Carolina. Alone in the world and in great need of work, she accepts. But what she doesn't expect is to find herself immersed in a town where prejudices run deep, where people are hiding secrets behind closed doors, and where the price of being different might just end in murder. Okay, and that's all I'm going to read right now. So, um, it's intriguing. I like a good dual timeline, and it sounds maybe, I think it was historical fiction. Yeah, I think so. But I'm interested to read from Diane Chamberlain. All right, last class is art class. A comic, graphic novel, or manga. So manga's off the table for me. I just don't like it. Um, and I couldn't really find a comic at my library, but I did find a graphic novel, and this is Avatar, The Last Airbender, and this is book number 4. I tried to look for number 1. The lowest number they had was 4, but that did not deter me because I actually was glad that they had this one. This one is, well, first off, the series, if you haven't heard of Avatar The Last Airbender, the Avatar is this young boy here. Essentially, in this world, there is one Avatar, and there are like 4 different. I can't think of the word right now. If I remember, I'll put it down on the screen of what I'm trying to try to group them. But you have your waterbenders, people who live in either the North or South Pole, essentially, and they can manipulate the element water. You have your earthbenders, which you can manipulate, like the earth, rocks, mostly rocks, I think. And you have your firebenders who manipulate fire, and then you have your airbenders who manipulate the air. And each grouping, only a set of people can actually do that. So you may live in the certain area or with the certain people, but only if you can actually practice that art. I hope that makes sense. So in the series, and I'm talking about the cartoon part, you already get off the bat that the Fire Nation, the whole nation, are the villains, and they are trying to take over the whole world. And Aang is the Avatar, and he is an airbender, and he's actually the last of his kind. Long story short, there can only be one Avatar, and the Avatar masters all elements, all the different elements, and he's supposed to bring balance, essentially. And if he dies, then he, is born again, reincarnates, and it's like a cycle. So whatever he was previously, say if he was a firebender previously, he'd be born into, I don't know the order, but he'll be born as a waterbender, and then he'll be born as an earthbender, airbender, and then the cycle repeats. So sort of like that. I know it sounds kind of weird, and honestly, I wasn't a huge fan when I was younger about the series, but my husband really enjoyed them and grew up with them, so it wasn't until we were married that I agreed that I would give it a try, because when I was younger, we were just told not to watch it, and there are some things in there where I could see why we were told not to, but out of all of the, I guess, series out there, this one, I don't believe that it's as bad, I guess. So rewatching it as an adult, I found that I really did enjoy the series, and I enjoyed some of the character development, and so I want to read this book, or this graphic novel. This one talks about the mom to Zuko and Azula, and only if you have seen the movie you will understand why that's very why I'm very interested in that. If you haven't seen it, you won't really understand, but we'll get to find out in this book essentially what happens. So I know that was a little long-winded, and I apologize for that. I felt like, in order to really understand this, I had to give that full backstory, and that took some time. So, yeah. Anyway, those were all the prompts. Now, the 8th prompt is supposed to be study hall, and study hall says watch a movie set in a school. So, just at any point, I'm just gonna pick a movie. I'm not sure what it's gonna be yet, but whatever I guess I'm feeling that weekend. So that was it, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. This is quite a stack, but honestly, I really think that with the help of some of this middle grade books, I'll be able to finish them within like a day, like on the weekend or something, and I can get through them. If there are any books that you are interested in, let me know. Honestly, I'm curious about the Avatar. If there's anybody who is interested in Avatar, I would love to know. It's, not everyone's cup of tea, but I guess I'm just curious, like, what do you think about the show? If you have kids, would you allow your kids to watch it? I don't know. I'm just curious. But yeah, I hope that you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you in another video. Bye, guys.